أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Best of Both Worlds, a show where we like to discuss contemporary youth issues. We like to discuss them by giving practical examples on how we as individuals in our daily lives can benefit from them, inshallah. Today's topic will be looking at disengagement of youths from our Hussainiyas. We have touched upon this issue before in our previous series. However, we feel that we need to go into detail a bit more about this. I'd like to discuss this issue in the following steps. Firstly, we would like to define the importance of Hussainiyas. Secondly, I'd like to mention some reasons on why youth may decide to not attend their local Hussainiyas. Thirdly, we would like to share some solutions on how Hussainiyas and committee members can take some practical advice on how to attract the youth to come to Hussainiyas. And finally, to outline the benefits of going to the Hussainiyah. I would like to introduce our honourable guest, Sayyid Zafar Abbas. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid. Now, Sayyid, firstly, could you start by introducing the importance of Hussainiyas? We find that many youth today, for different sorts of reasons, may decide to not come to the local Hussainiyah. But I think first defining the importance would be the best way to start this topic.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. What I really like, and this is quite unusual, but the word that we use in English to define Imambargh or Hussainiyah, we say it's a center. And I really like this word because if it's the center, then it means it should be the center of my life. Right? So it's not just a place, no, it's the center of my life. Like everything should revolve around the center, or everything revolves around the center. So that's, that in terms of the importance, that is the importance of it. That it should be the focal point of my life in terms of my religious information, in terms of my connection with God, with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, with the Aimma alayhi salam, with other believers. So all of these things are a result and would be attained as a result of being, having that in the center. Religion puts a lot of emphasis on doing things collectively. So, for example, there's lots of emphasis on Salat al-Jama'at, there's emphasis on meeting believers, one another, helping them, taking care of them, so on and so forth. So it's not, sometimes because of the society we live in, we have a notion that it's just between me and God and that's it. No, religion or Islam is not like that. Islam wants me to be concerned about my neighbors, wants me to be concerned about my relatives, my family, my friends, all kinds of relationships, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ, the believers are brothers. That means the way that I would love and care and do things for my brother, I have to do for have to be willing to do for every believer. Now, I'll only have that connection if I at the very least meet that person. If I go months without meeting my fellow believers, then I will not have any connection with them. In fact, I won't know if there's something that they got concern, if there's something they need, there's something that's going on in their life, I will not know. So all of this, these are the factors or important things which are emphasized by the religion, and the center is helping to facilitate all of these things. So for example, there's jama'at, there is meeting your fellow believers, finding out about them, there is caring about them, so on and so forth. All of these things will be, so all of these things are as a result of me being an active participant.
Has this concept of going to Husayniyah or Husayniyah always existed from the Prophet's time, or?
Right. So for example, like in the Prophet's time, we had the Masjid of the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet of Islam insisted. Obviously, in the beginning, when people came to Medina, there was a section in the masjid where the people who had just come used to live. And then people built their houses around the masjid. So again, it was that concept of being in the center, that the houses were built around the masjid, because
I like that concept,
right? Because people
even when we find that people migrate from a different country to another country, they tend to map out where the Husayniyah is, and make sure they live a certain radius around it. Absolutely. Whether it be Stanmore, whether it be Husayni Mission, whether it be in Birmingham, for example, which I think is it's amazing.
In fact, I know of friends and family who have wanted to move to another city. So for example, they lived in London, they wanted to move to another place. The first thing they would do is find out, is there a Husayniyah there? And if it is, I want to be within a radius. That shows that this is a important connection. So this started from the Prophet's time. So the Prophet ﷺ has his house next to the masjid, and then people build their houses around the masjid. People who live further away, the Prophet ﷺ, for example, says, okay, you can't come for every single prayer, but at least try and come for once a day. Try and come just on Fridays, so on and so forth. We have narrations about people who live within a certain radius from the mosque, from the masjid, that they cannot pray their prayers at home unless they have any, valid excuse. So, for example, it's mentioned in the narration that if you can see the mosque from your house, then you have to pray your prayers in the mosque. Okay, you cannot pray your prayers at home unless you have some valid excuse. So that is to show the extent of the importance of being part of that congregation. So not just the thawab in terms of the reward, obviously the prayer
community
Jamaat,
aspect as well,
but the community aspect, which is very important. Why? Because you'll notice, and this is a big issue at the moment in our society, and that is that there's lots of people with lots of different mental health issues. There's lots of people who are suffering because they don't have companionship. They don't have people who they can associate with. Okay, and obviously I'm not saying that this is the only solution, but this is part of the solution. Okay, that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we have different narrations, but also the philosophers, for example, Aristotle says that man is a social animal. Okay, that shows that human beings need other people in order to function, right? It's not possible for a person just to live by themselves or to just associate only with themselves and not associate with anybody and live their lives meaningfully. So because that is a situation, this is why religion has made it, emphasized all these mustahabat to tell us that, look, this is the way that you need to deal with this situation, that this is how you can function
society,
and this is how you build the society and make the society into a good place.
Okay, now going on to a few reasons as to why youth may feel that going to Husayniyah may not benefit them. There's many, I know, unfortunately, but I think it'd be important to discuss a few. One of the one of the issues that we can look at firstly is language. A reason why youth may not attend Husseiniya is due to languages. We find some Jamaats may only do programs in one language, and for that reason they don't feel the connection because they don't understand what's happening there. Can you elaborate on this and from your experience?
I think obviously that there is a background to how the Husseiniya, the Imambargh and the centers in this country were set up. And that was in a particular way. It has a particular context that, you know, communities who moved to the UK at particular times in the 50s, 60s, 70s had set up because that was their way of not only preserving their religious identity but also their cultural identity. So that's why they're set up in that particular way. Otherwise, reality, mosques, Husseiniya centers belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, belong to Imam, and they're for everyone. Okay? But due to that history, they were set up in that way, and people were using that to hold on to their own identities. For this reason, we have centers which cater for particular ethnic groups only. You know, whether it's Arabic or Farsi or Urdu or other languages. That of course brings a challenge for young people
the next generation
who may speak those languages, but their primary language is English, their first language is English, and perhaps they do understand those languages, but they don't feel comfortable in those languages the way that they feel comfortable in English. So that is one factor regarding the disconnection. Obviously, the other factor is that communities also need to step up their effort of helping to pass on their language skills to the next generation. So there should be classes for each of those languages in the Husseinias or organized by the Husseinias to help the communities preserve that skill and that language and so on and so forth.
I think we also find that the dialect between English and Urdu is very different in terms of the content the Maulanas and the lecturers speak out of. I'm more of a balanced person. I like to listen to both. We, during our young age, used to go to listen to Urdu lecturers. However, when I got my first car, we started to go a bit further up and listen to some English lectures. Is there a difference? Is it because more culturally it exists, the fact that the Josh comes out from the Urdu side more than the English?
I think, obviously, every culture has their own
ways of
pros and
presenting.
cons and ways of doing things in each languages. For example, there's more, if you listen to Arabic lectures, they have lots of passion and so on and so forth. But conversely, if you listen to Farsi lectures, they're very calm and peaceful, and they don't show much emotion and so on and so forth. Generally, not always, but generally. Whereas obviously in Urdu, there's obviously that a lot of emotion, a lot of involvement with the crowd, a lot of back and forth, so on and so forth. English obviously the style is still developing. The style is still developing. There's still a way to go. I mean, the pioneers of bringing English, still, it's just one generation away.
In infancy.
So maybe in a few generations' time, there'll be a style for English. At the moment, we're still finding that style. So you'll find that, for example, those who come from Urdu background will do English in the Urdu style, or people who come from the Arabic background will do it in the Arabic style, or people who come from the Persian background do it in the Persian style, so on and so forth. So at the moment we're still experimenting with these different styles and so on and so forth. But there's definitely a difference when it comes to the content, and that also has a context, because the especially for the Indian subcontinent, the main challenge to us was from Muslims from other schools of faith who would ask us questions regarding our beliefs. So the lectures would be focused on how we can defend our beliefs from other or in front of other schools of thought. So that style developed because of the need of that particular time and society. Obviously now we're living in UK.
Yeah.
So we have different challenges, different
Demand
styles, like we've been discussing on this program, like different challenges, different issues that are related to us. So just as that style was developed because of a need of that time, we need a style to develop which would address the needs of our times, and how we could deal with the issues that we are going through.
Okay, so another issue that we may argue is that the programs sometimes are just too long, and for that reason we just don't tend to attend them, especially when we have a busy lifestyle. Is this a problem you see in? I think there definitely needs to be a balance.
Obviously the language component comes back in here, that if the majority of the program is in languages that we don't understand, then we will not feel connected. Whereas if it's in a language that we do understand, we'll feel connected. Absolutely. Even if it's long. So that, I think the complaint of it being long is perhaps valid in some respect, but is more like the deeper reasoning behind it is the reasoning of not connecting with the program. So, for example, if it was to be in a language and in a style that was connect, then I would be able to connect with. Then I wouldn't have a problem with the length of the program. If you want to notice this, in fact, you can see this in any Hussainiya Imambargh that you go to, that even the people who complain about the program itself, when the program is over the end and then you can just go, at that time everyone's chilling, and they can sit there for hours and like be talking and discussing and having chai and doing whatever. Absolutely. So that shows that if it's something that I'm interested in, if it's something that I think is relevant to me, then I wouldn't have a problem with the time or the length of time that it would. Having said all of that, I think it is important, especially if the program is on a work night, to make sure that the program doesn't run ridiculously too long. Like obviously there's no need for it to be like would be really military style timing, but at the same time it shouldn't run so long that people it becomes a burden on people, that the program is too long. But like I said, mainly because I'm not connecting with it. Like for example, the recitations are in Arabic. The du'as and this on and so forth.
This actually goes on to my next argument. Some may argue that Hussainiyas are disorganized, and you see some centers which have amazing jashns, poetry and recitations which go on, like you just mentioned, for a long time, and then our youth which are sitting in there, after say 1.5 hours of a jashan and poetry session, the Maulana comes on the mimbar. Now an average person's time span is around 20 minutes. So when the Maulana now comes onto the mimbar and does an hour lecture, which that's something obviously which is amazing. We have to listen to the lecture, and that's the most core benefits that we're going to get out of everything. How do we expect the youth now to stay concentrated after all of that? Is there something we need to do within our communities to ensure we have a strong time cap on certain things? Are we going back to culture again?
I think it is important. All of the issue obviously here is that all of these issues are quite sensitive. So for example, if you are in a community where you're blessed with lots of reciters, so mashallah we live in Birmingham and we're blessed with lots of reciters in Birmingham, okay, not outside. Just in Birmingham, we have lots of good reciters. So, like, if it's a program or a Viladat or so on and so forth, then all the reciters want to recite. So, if all of them recite, even if they all recite for 5 minutes and we've got 10 reciters, that's already an hour. So, you know, that, and then if you say, you know, to this person you should recite, or this person doesn't recite, these things become quite sensitive in terms of, you know, how do you tell somebody that you can't or that you shouldn't, or that person feels that, you know, the other person got to read,
but
I didn't get to.
The issue is the youth.
No,
they're there to gain something out.
Of course.
We don't. Of course, we gain so much out of these poetry sessions. Isn't the purpose of the Hussainiya, the lecture which is going to happen that night?
Right. So this is what I'm saying. So I'm saying this issue is quite sensitive. That's why I did a precursor. So in terms of that, but it is important for the Idaras to be organized, the Hussainiyas to the mosques to be organized in making sure, like we said earlier, that the program runs, it doesn't become too long, it runs, you know, the appropriate time, and to allow the people to, you know, benefit from the main part of the lecture.
Or we could,
right, in terms of the attention span, yes, I mean there's lots of different studies done, you know, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is. But if you really want to go into that, we can say that, you know, when you're watching TV, then your attention span can go on for hours, and you're watching something that you like, your attention span, or when you're playing video games, your attention span can go on for hours, or when you're watching football game, for example, the attention span goes on. So it depends on, you know, whether something is interesting, whether something is good, something that you like, then your attention span can be extended. That
goes on to the next topic, right, which is some youth may find that going to Hussainiya is just not interesting for them.
Right. So I think that is an important point. I think it's a point where we have to engage. I think it's important. Sometimes it's you find that people, and this is not just young people, generally, people will complain, but they won't actually do anything to fix the complaint, right? So, for example, and I'm saying this here on live on TV, and I say this at the Hussainiya every day, that if you think that there's something that needs to be more engaging, something that needs to be more different, something that needs to be done differently, then email me, phone me, come to the Hussainiya and talk to me.
Feedback is important.
Right? Only the Prophet used to get revelation. I don't get revelation. Okay. So if you find something that's not engaging, I don't know until you come and tell me. Right?
Yeah.
So, and this is not just, I'm not just saying it for me. Wherever you are, whichever mosque you go to, whichever Hussainiya you go to the person who's doing the lectures and say to them that we want to talk. And most of the time they'll be happy to talk to you and listen to you, right? They also want to know, right? I think it's very good for me to know that this particular area is engaging, this particular area is not engaging. I might think that something else is engaging, but it depends on what you think and how you think is this particular area or topic is beneficial.
I think,
or not.
By mentioning topic, I'd like to also tell our audience you're more than welcome to call us in and tell us what topics you'd like to hear from us. I think that'd be really important. As you just mentioned, the emphasis on these topics that we discuss is very important. And also, if you'd like to call in and just share anything you'd like with us, it is open to the audience today. You can call in. The number is down below. And okay, back to the topic, Sayyid. What can we do? Is there a solution that we can put in place for the mosques when the youth say the speaker, for example, may not be interesting? I find from many friends, they may turn down going to the mosque because of this. It shouldn't even be a reason, but we'll get to the benefits later on. But just because of the speaker, I think sometimes they say instead of looking at a beautiful envelope, you should look at what's inside it, and that's what some of our youth are not doing.
I think it is definitely a factor that if somebody is a good speaker, they're a powerful speaker, then a person would be more inclined to listen to them, and they would listen to them more attentively compared to somebody who was, for example, monotone, and they weren't really engaging, or they didn't seem that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And also obviously the content and the style, both of those things are important. So these things are important. It's not as though that style, content is not important. They are important, but we shouldn't just focus on the style, right? Yes, there might be somebody who isn't like the most powerful speaker in terms of style, but they've got a lot to offer. And at the end of the day,
sorry, Said, we have a caller on the line.
Yes.
We can go to him. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, bro. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. It's so good to see you, Syed. And I've been waiting the whole week, basically, for your program. And it's so nice to see you both. Without wasting much of your time, just wanted to say once again, I love your show. I think you brothers are doing an excellent job, and only Allah knows your ajr, really.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
Nah, that's
really
perfectly okay, bro.
That's it, fine, yeah?
I think the topic you raised is of utmost importance. In fact, just a few days ago, I remember receiving a question on WhatsApp, which was trying to inquire as to why people are turning away from Husseiniya. And so I think the timing is wonderful as well. That being said, I quickly want to mention one hadith by Imam Ali, Amir al-Mu'minin. And the hadith is that Imam Ali says, don't inherit your religion, but learn the religion. Okay, it may sound very simple, but this is a very, very deep verse. The problem I feel is that we are only inheriting our religion. In the sense of only going to Husseiniya because mom and dad told us we have to go to Husseiniya. By doing so, I think inheriting our religion. But Islam is just so logical. I think we need to understand it and to learn it.
Absolutely.
And Sayyid Zafar Abbas, please correct me if you think I'm wrong.
No, Ahsan.
So is that Irfan? Thank you for calling, Irfan. Thank you for that, Jazakallah. And for your lovely point.
Ahsan. Thank you. I think it's a very important point that it is important to learn, important to understand. In fact, last night I was talking about this, that sadly a young man from our community passed away a few days ago.
Sorry about that.
So I was talking about this particular point, that when we go in the grave and we're asked the questions by the angels, it isn't just verbally answering those questions. It's whether I actually believed in those things that I'm saying, or not. And when I answer those, I would answer it from my heart, and not from my tongue, in the way that, for example, in the dunya I could deceive someone and say that even though I believe something else, I could just say, oh, this is what I believe. But when you go in the grave, it's not going to be like that. It's whatever I actually believe is gonna come out. So similarly, if I just inherit something and I don't, if going to the Husseiniya is just a ritual, right? So then I can drop it because I think it's a ritual. But if it's something that I really believe that this is how it's going to connect, how I'm going to connect with the religion, then I'll realize that I have to attend, because this is the way I'm connecting with my faith.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I think going quickly back to when we discussed languages. Firstly, might as well share the solution to that problem. Is there any advice that you can give, Sayyid?
Right, so I think that, like I said, this is a two-way or circular kind of issue. Okay, so for example, we've got people who say that, oh, we don't want to attend because it's in a language you don't understand. But then when Husseinians want to bring change, then they say, oh, we don't want to bring change because the people who we're bringing change for, they don't attend, right? So we have this circular issue going on. Okay, or for example, we brought in, or we did programs in English, but the turnout was not good, or the people who were hoping to get were not actually coming to the still not coming to the mosque.
I think a few years ago in Birmingham, in one of the centres here, they did this fantastic year of having speakers who can speak both languages, and that was amazing because you can sit there and it caters for all. And there's no excuse. Youth can't say we're not coming to the Sayyidiyah because the Maulanas would be called that can speak half in one language and half in the other. I think that's a fantastic idea. Would you agree? Like having calling just for a certain time, just to get everyone to start coming in and build that relationship with the Husseiniya again, and then hopefully we can go. It's like a stepping stone to
absolutely. I mean, I think is one of many solutions that could be implemented to cater for both of the audiences. There are obviously only a few people, as far as I'm aware, in UK who can do both successfully and well. So that's why it is a big challenge to try and bring them, because obviously they're quite high in demand.
Absolutely.
So that obviously brings in challenges. However, the point is that regardless of that, the point is that there has to be a engagement of the organizers and the young people together to try and come up with a solution, right? So that when the organize program, the young people actually show up.
Sorry, sir. Then we have another caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Can I speak in Urdu also?
Yes.
अच्छा, सबसे पहले तो मैं सलाम अर्ज़ करता हूँ भैया अली मदद। बड़ा प्यारा, बड़ा खूबसूरत और बड़ा ज़रूरी टॉपिक है जो आज आपने रखा है, डिसएंगेजमेंट ऑफ द यूथ फ्रॉम इमामबारग। भाई इसमें 2-3 चीज़ें हैं ऐसी जिन पे गौर करना पड़ेगा। पहली बात तो ये है कि नौजवान नस्ल का इमामबारग से या मसाजिद से दूर होना, उसकी पहली रीज़न तो मैं आपसे ये गुजारिश करूँगा होगी कि अगर यहाँ की बात करें यूरोप की, तो यहाँ पे हमारी एक रीज़न तो ये है कि जब हमारे उलमा वगैरह आते हैं वहाँ से पाकिस्तान से, तो उनका माहौल जो होता है वो पाकिस्तानी होता है, वही अंदाज़ होता है, वही तरीका होता है, ज़बान का भी मसला होता है। लेकिन जब यहाँ आते हैं तो यहाँ के अंदाज़ को वो समझ नहीं पाते, उस्ताज़ा जो होते हैं वो समझ नहीं पाते, यहाँ के यूथ को वो समझ नहीं पाते, यूथ उनको समझ नहीं पाती, जिसका रिज़ल्ट ये होता है कि मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग हो जाती है, जिससे वो एक दूसरे से दूर होते हैं और इमामबारग की अहमियत जो है ना वो इतनी नहीं रहती। एक तो ये वजह है कि इमामबारग से दूर होना। दूसरी वजह ये है कि हमने अब जो देखा है कि आज के दौर में हमने मजालस में भी, और ये बड़ा ज़रूरी, मैं आपसे बात कर इस पर आपसे जवाब दूंगा कि हमारे मिंबरों पे हमें अब जो नज़र आ रहा है वो ज़्यादा सुर का इस्तेमाल होना, ज़ाकरों का कसीदे गानों की शक्ल में पढ़ना, और ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं ये नौजवान नस्ल को उस तरफ अट्रैक्ट करती हैं। सिर्फ जो सुर और ताल की बात होती है, जब शरई मसाइल की तरफ आप आते हैं तो वो जो नौजवान नस्ल है वो उसको खुशक समझते हुए उसमें दिलचस्पी कम लेती है। اگر یہ صورتحال کو ختم کر کے ذاکر حضرات کو بھی یہ کہا جائے کہ وہ دین کی طرف آئیں اور دین کی بات کریں اور اس انداز میں کریں کہ جو بچوں کے لیے بہتر ہو, تو میرے خیال میں بچے بھی اس چیز کو دلچسپی میں لیں گے, نہ کہ وہ صرف گانے اور سروں کی شکل کو پسند کرنے کے لیے جائیں اور صورتحال سن کے آ جائیں. تیسری بات یہ کہوں گا کہ ہم نے اب تک میں نے جو دیکھا ہے اب تک وہ یہ ہے کہ کچھ علماء ایسے ہیں جنہیں ماشاءاللہ بہت زیادہ جن کے پاس علم ہوتا ہے, بہت زیادہ علم ہوتا ہے, لیکن جب وہ تقریر کرتے ہیں تو تقریر میں وہ یہ نہیں دیکھتے کہ سامنے ممبر کے سامنے جو عوام بیٹھے ہیں ان کا مینٹل لیول کتنا اونچا ہے. وہ صرف اپنے علم کو استعمال کرتے ہوئے ان کے اوپر اتنا اوپر لے جاتے ہیں اپنے بیان کو کہ جو بیٹھے ہوئے لوگ ہیں وہ سمجھ نہیں پاتے. اور علماء جو کہ علم تعلیم یافتہ ہوتے ہیں وہ یہ سمجھتے ہیں کہ ہم انہیں اب علم دے رہے ہیں, لیکن ان کا لیول اتنا بلند ہے کہ وہ ان تک نہیں پہنچتا اور وہ سمجھ نہیں پاتے. اور کچھ علماء ایسے ہوتے ہیں کہ جو اپنا علمی لیول اتنا بلند ہوتا ہے لیکن مجمع کی سطح پر آ کے وہ جب تقریر کرتے ہیں تو لوگ اس کے بات کو بڑا پسند کرتے ہیں. اس کی میں مثال یوں دے دیتا ہوں کہ ایک دور تھا کہ اللہ گری کے رحمت کرے مولانا اظہر حسن زیدی صاحب کو, کہ ہم ان کی مجلس سن رہے تھے تو ایک بچہ بار بار اٹھتا بیٹھتا تھا باپ کی گود میں, تو باپ نے ذرا زبردستی اسے نیچے بٹھا لیا. تو زیدی صاحب نے بہترین تقریر کو چھوڑ کے نا انہوں نے 1.5 گھنٹہ اس بچے پہ تقریر اس انداز میں کی کہ بچہ بھی بیٹھ کے اس تقریر کو نا سننے میں لگ گیا, اور بچہ سمجھا کہ یہ سارا مجھے بتا رہے ہیں. بڑے بھی سن رہے تھے اس لیول پہ اور بچہ بھی سمجھ رہا تھا اس لیول پہ. تو ایک تو یہ انداز بھی آپ نے دیکھنا ہوگا کہ جو لیول سامنے ہے اس لیول پہ آپ اگر بیان کریں گے تو لوگ اس پہ دلچسپی لیں گے اور سمجھیں گے بھی اور اس کے انداز کو بھی پسند کریں گے. چوتھی بات یہ ہے کہ جب آپ یوتھ کو اس طرف لے کے جاتے ہیں, امام بارگاہوں کی طرف لے کے جاتے ہیں, تو اس وقت آپ نے اپنے اندر وہ ماحول پیدا کرنا ہوگا, امام بارگاہ کے اندر وہ دلچسپی پیدا کرنی ہوگی جو نوجوان نسل کو امام بارگاہ کی طرف لے کے آئے. لیکن جب وہاں جاتے ہیں تو وہاں پہ کمیٹیوں کی لڑائیاں, وہاں پہ آپس میں جھگڑے, وہاں پہ پارٹی بازیاں, اور یہ چیزیں جو ہے نا یہ بچوں کو پھر اس میں سے دور لے کے جاتی ہیں. ان چیزوں کو بھی ختم کرنا ہوگا تاکہ بچے جب آئیں تو محبت, پیار, مذہب اور اس قسم کی چیزیں انہیں ملیں تو وہ بھاگ کے ادھر جائیں اور سمجھیں کہ ہمیں یہاں سب کچھ ملتا ہے. میں ایک چھوٹی سی مثال دے کے ختم کرتا ہوں کہ ہمارے اندر یہ حالت ہو گئی ہے کہ اب میرے بچے تھے تو یہاں پہ لے کے آیا تو وہ ڈرتے کہنے لگے کہ بابا اگر اجازت دیں تو ہم یہ سامنے جو مسجد ہے اس کو جا کے دیکھ آئیں. میں نے کہا جاؤ بیٹا خدا کا گھر ہے جاؤ دیکھو. کہنے کہ بابا وہ ماریں گے تو نہیں ہمیں, یعنی خدا کے گھر سے اتنا ڈرتے ہیں کہ بچے کو کہتے ہیں کہ وہ ماریں گے تو نہیں ہمیں. دوسری طرف یہ تھی کہ ہماری
جی انکل
گاڑی کھڑی تھی,
شکریہ آپ کا بہت.
تو کہنے لگے شاہ صاحب ذرا ان سے کہیں کہ گاڑی جو ہے نا آگے کر لے, میں نے اپنی گاڑی نکالنی ہے. تو میں نے کہا یار خود چلے جاؤ. تو وہ کہنے لگے نہیں مجھے ڈر ہے کہ ماریں گے تو نہیں مجھے. میں نے کہا مارنا کس لیے ہے, تم جاؤ تو صحیح جا کے بات کرو ان سے. تو مقصد یہ کہنے کا ہے کہ ہم نے امام بارگاہ اور مساجد کو اتنی ڈر والی جگہ بنا دی ہوئی ہے کہ لوگ ایک دوسرے کے مسجد امام بارگاہ میں جانے سے لوگ ڈرتے ہیں. اس ڈر کو بھی ختم کرنا ہوگا.
انکل تھینک یو, آپ کا بہت ہی, ہمارا ٹائم بہت شارٹ ہے. تھینک یو سو مچ فار یور ویلڈ پوائنٹس اینڈ فار کالنگ ان. I think I'll go through some of the points he mentioned quickly in English. So the first point he mentioned was the different surroundings from back home that the Maulanas have. When they come to the UK, it's of a different dialect, and that's why the youths are not able to communicate with the Maulana, because
I think that's a very valid point, and perhaps again, like I said, it goes back to the way that the communities were set up in the past. So for example, like in the 60s when the centres were set up, we didn't have many Maulanas in UK. Therefore we had to bring people from abroad. Now alhamdulillah we have mashallah a lot of Maulanas in the UK, and they live here and they know the situation here and they know the the environment and everything and so on and so forth. So that is, I think that concern should be alleviated. We don't need to bring people from outside anymore, because we've got people homegrown who can, deal with that situation.
I think another thing he mentioned was the poetry being recited inside the centres, maybe of a slight music style dialect, and which may attract the wrong crowd.
Right. So I think in terms of that, we have to obviously refer to the.
Have a caution.
It's a fiqhi issue. We have to refer to the mujtahids and find out whether that is valid or not. So that's obviously that's up to the people who are reading it to find out and to investigate.
The third point mentioned, which was interesting, Mulanas with a lot of knowledge do not see the audience sometimes and their mental level. Right. Every audience has a different
has their own level, of course, and I think that's the most successful people or the most successful speakers are the ones who speak on the topics and a level that all of their crowd can communicate with and be on that level. So I think that's certainly a valid point. But again, that is all back to the feedback, right? So you have to communicate that to the person to say that you need to tone it down or make sure that it's on the level that we understand or not.
Finally, mosques themselves have problems with the committee, and for that reason the youth do not want to go there and see a atmosphere which is very weird, not delightful.
Right. I mean, there's animosity, there's people fighting, there's people arguing, rowing, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That is certainly a unfortunate situation. That it does occur in a lot of our seniors, and we should work to try to make sure that our places are welcoming. There are places where people would like to come, and there aren't fights and rows and arguments and so on and so forth going on in that place, because that naturally will make people. Even elders, not just young people, even elders and people. There's a lot of people who, older people who I've spoken to, and they say, well, no, I don't want to come to the mosque because there's always people fighting there. So it is naturally a place that people would not like.
Okay. I think moving on to another point which we have here, another issue is materialistic. Is that to do with people chasing after their career or money orientated and not being able to come to the mosque for this reason?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter and a question of priorities. Okay, so if I, for example, like football, I will make time to watch the game, or if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm gonna make time to go and watch the match wherever it's being held. That obviously involves traveling, going to a different place, spending 90 minutes watching the game, traveling to the place, coming back, so on and so forth. All of that is a lot of time, and I'm spending money as well. Mm-hmm. But it's because that's something I like to do, so therefore I will do it. I would give that as a priority for me. Or, for example, other kinds of entertainment, other things, going out, eating out, watching a movie, this, that, all these things that we do. So if something is a priority for me, I will make time, I will make effort, I will go there, I will spend that time. But if something is not a priority for me, I will make excuses and say that, I'm busy, or I'm work, or this, that, so on and so forth. So it's a matter of whether being or coming to the Hussainiya is a priority for me or not. And this is very important because, for example, related to the point regarding the fighting and so on and so forth. I said this, one person said this to me, that, for example, this, I don't want to come to the Hussainiya because of X, Y, Z reason. I said, look, X, Y, Z, whoever they are, is not a valid reason for not coming to the mosque. Because the mosque doesn't belong to X, it doesn't belong to me, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God, it belongs to Imam. So therefore, if I have a connection with God and Imam, then I still have to make the effort to come. If everyone thinks like that, then no one is going to come to the mosque, right? Then we'll have fantastic, great buildings, but nobody inside them. So really we have to think about the priorities. That what is my priority? Yes, we need to fix these things, no doubt.
I think
But it comes down to what is my priority in life.
Absolutely.
And how do I prioritize things in my life. So obviously work is a priority for me. Okay, family is a priority for me. Relaxing, these things are important. I'm not saying it's not important.
Yeah.
Relaxing is also important. You know, spending time with family, spending time with friends, all these things are important. But at the same time, religion has to be an important priority in my life. And if it's a priority in my life, then I will make time for, and I will make effort, and I will try and be the force of change. Right? It's very easy to complain. Right? I love to complain, but it's very difficult to bring about that change.
Absolutely.
But if I'm serious about what I'm complaining about, then I have to be the one. I have to be the change that I want to see in the world. Okay. Right? Because I'm an expert at complaining. You know, anything goes wrong, I'll complain.
We're gonna go on to a quick break now.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to conclude from here. And I think we mentioned some excellent points so far. And hopefully we've all benefited from what we've discussed so far. So inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in and tuning in today with all the wonderful calls as well and the compliments. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.